Potential supply of first-hand residential properties reaches record high. Football legend Lionel Messi arrives in Hong Kong. And a university in Gaza has been totally destroyed. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. Government figures have shown the potential supply of first-hand private residential units in Hong Kong has reached a record high. But worries loom that the swaths of new flats might beleaguer property markets and drag down home prices. Following the decline in residential property prices, figures released by the Hong Kong Monetary Authority this week show the cases of negative equity in Hong Kong have hit a record high in 19 years. At the same time, the supply of first-hand residential properties continues to rise. According to government information in the primary market, as of late last year, Hong Kong had 20,000 completed but unsold first-hand flats. That marks a quarter-on-quarter increase of 2,000 units. 71,000 more flats are under construction. The numbers of both unsold flats and pre-sold flats in Hong Kong also notched record highs. Tallying up other projects ready for construction, the number of first-hand private residential flats potentially available in Hong Kong over the coming 3 to 4 years is projected to rise to 109,000 units. That marks a record high since 2004. Charter surveyor Cyrus Fong, a senior director of valuation and advisory at an international property consultancy firm, said the oversupply of flats combined with the prevailing cautious market sentiment could create a vicious cycle. That's because the continuous rollouts of first-hand properties coupled with poor sales might affect the developer's long-term plan. With the uncertainty on interest rates, Fong said the government should consider removing more property cooling measures to buoy the market. Also, the city saw a quickened pace of construction for private residential units, with 5,500 units being constructed in the fourth quarter last year, marking a quarter-on-quarter rise of more than 70%. The number of completed units rose more than 50% to 3,800 units. Ratings agency Moody's forecasts another 5 to 10% drop in residential property prices this year. Argentine football legend Lionel Messi has arrived in Hong Kong. The highly anticipated visit of his Inter Miami team will last 3 days and is set to culminate on Sunday, when an exhibition match will be held between Inter Miami and a Hong Kong select team. The private jet carrying Lionel Messi and his Inter Miami teammates landed at Hong Kong International Airport from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia at around 2:30 p.m. Emerging out of the aircraft, the football superstar set foot in Hong Kong for the first time in a decade. He was seen holding South American caffeine-rich herbal drink mate. Also visiting Hong Kong are his current teammates Luis Suarez, Sergio Busquets and Jordi Alba, all former Barcelona teammates too. A welcome ceremony was held right after they landed with a bouquet of flowers presented to the squad, who were also received by Sam Wong, Hong Kong's Commissioner for Sports. During their 3-day visit, the team will have a public practice session at Hong Kong Stadium on Saturday, before playing an exhibition match with the Hong Kong team on Sunday. Messi, 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 Messi! Keen fans were waiting at the Fullerton Ocean Park Hotel, where the footballers are staying. Tickets for the exhibition match are sold out. They were quickly snapped up when they went on sale in December. But some locals and mainland tourists are able to get a photo op with a Messi ad in Mong Kok here. This tourist from Beijing said he's been a fan for a long time, and Messi is likely entering the home stretch of his career. Hoping to see him play in the field at least once, he said he secured a ticket to watch the public practice session. This jersey shop manager said thanks to Messi's visit, the sales of jerseys from Inter Miami and those of the Argentinian national team had jumped 50%. Other beneficiaries are likely bars near Hong Kong Stadium. This bar manager said they are not worried about the road closure during the event because there should be more customers. Police will cordon off the roads near Hong Kong Stadium starting at noon on Sunday and have asked citizens to take public transport during the event. Inter Miami head coach Gerardo Tata Martino's and Luis Suarez spoke to the press in Hong Kong this evening. While Messi is not at the conference, Martino said they hope to do better in Hong Kong than in Saudi Arabia.
It's a very long tour. but our expectations are through the matches. We are well prepared for the season that is starting in 20 days. Inevitably, at some point, we will start feeling a bit tired, but for today, to do better than what we did in Arabia, in Hong Kong.
Meanwhile, the Court of Appeal has ordered a retrial over the murder conviction involving former University of Hong Kong academic Cheung Kye-chung. Cheung was earlier sentenced to life imprisonment for having killed his wife in 2018. The former associate professor of mechanical engineering earlier pleaded not guilty to having murdered his wife, but admitted to manslaughter. But the prosecutor rejected his manslaughter admission. The court heard that Cheung allegedly strangled his wife, Tina Chan, to death with a cable at their home in HKU. The wife's body was later found inside a suitcase. In self-defense, Cheung said he was enraged when his wife continued to berate him and his daughter, which prompted him to commit the crime. At the time, he said his mind went blank. Today is the 22nd day of the national security trial of the former media tycoon Jimmy Lai. Former NIC's digital CEO Chen Kim-hung said Apple Daily staff must follow the editorial instructions from Lai, even after the implementation of the Hong Kong national security law. Memo Sangai has details.
Armed police continued patrolling outside the West Kowloon Law Courts as the trial of Jimmy Lai entered its 22nd day. In the morning, the prosecution asked former NIC's digital CEO Chen Kim-hung about an NSL contingency committee, which was a WhatsApp chat group that did not include Lai. In response to the prosecution's question why Lai was not in the group, Chen said colleagues could not discuss anything if Lai was added to the group because Lai would have decided everything. Chen previously said Apple Daily must comply with Lai's editorial policy. The former NIC CEO today confirmed such a situation remained the same even after the enactment of national security law. In the afternoon, Chan Pui-man, a former associate publisher of Apple Daily, started testifying against Lai. Chen said she joined Apple Daily in 1996 as a senior reporter and got promoted to editor-in-chief in 2015. Chen mentioned she was diagnosed with cancer in 2016 and rested for 7 months to undergo treatment. Chen later returned to take up the post of associate publisher, which was less stressful than the editor-in-chief position. The prosecutor asked Chen about her views on the position of Apple Daily when she was a senior reporter. Chen said she thought the founder of the newspaper had clear values. She said Lai really supported Hong Kong to develop democracy and respected values such as freedom and human rights. She added there were reports that unearthed scandals which were valuable to the public. Chen said she communicated more frequently with Lai after she was promoted to deputy editor-in-chief in 2014, the year of the Occupy Central movement. The trial has been adjourned until Monday. News 9, TVB News.
Overseas, the U.S. has hinted that a large response to Iran-backed militias is imminent as Houthi rebels continue to attack ships in the Middle East. As Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin said it's time to further disable the militias. He also apologized for failing to tell President Joe Biden about his recent prostate cancer diagnosis ahead of time. More from NBC News.
Tonight, with the U.S. on the cusp of retaliatory strikes, Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin detailing the Pentagon's preparations.
This is a dangerous moment in the Middle East.
And speaking out for the first time about that controversy, how he hid his hospitalization and diagnosis from the president and the public.
I want to be crystal clear. We did not handle this right, and I did not handle this right.
Delivering a frank and forthcoming apology.
I should have told the president about my cancer diagnosis. I should have also told my team and the American public. And I take full responsibility. I apologize to my teammates and to the American people.
Austin faced bipartisan outrage after revelations he spent several days at Walter Reed unable to do his job, but kept it a secret from the commander-in-chief and others. Today saying he did not want to reveal his prostate cancer diagnosis.
The news shook me, and I know that it shakes so many others, especially in the black community. It was a gut punch. And frankly, my first instinct was to keep it private.
Even from the president.
Putting my personal issue, adding to his all the things that he's got on his plate, I just didn't feel that was a thing that I should do at the time.
Anyone else within the military chain of command would have faced reprimand or even dismissal. Why shouldn't that same standard apply to you, sir?
Well, let me just say that, thanks for the question, that we didn't get this right. And as I said, I take full responsibility.
Austin's visible limp a sign of the 70-year-old's ongoing recovery.
I'm here with a clear message to other men, especially older men. Get screened, get your regular checkups. Prostate cancer has a glass jaw.
All of it coming as the U.S. is vowing what officials call a multi-target campaign that could last weeks in retaliation for the drone attack by Iranian-backed militia that killed 3 U.S. service members, among more than 160 attacks since October on American targets.
Why has the U.S. waited until American service members were killed to escalate its response?
As you know, we've responded a number of times. I think at this point, we should. It's time to take away even more capability than we've taken in the past.
And delivering this warning to those Iranian-backed forces.
They have a lot of capability. I have a lot more.
The Israeli military is investigating the demolition of a university in Gaza last month. Pictures of the controlled explosion circulated on social media. Israel is said to have destroyed hundreds of educational institutions in Gaza. The IDF said Hamas used the campus for planning attacks. The explosion prompted questions at the State Department in Washington. The U.S. government has put further pressure on Israel by approving sanctions on forced settlers accused of attacking Palestinians in the West Bank. Israel's defense minister met with troops in Khan Yunis, where he says the military operation is almost complete. Yoav Gallant says the army have killed 2,000 Hamas fighters and destroyed infrastructures such as tunnels. And in Tel Aviv, protests continue. Demonstrators are urging the government to do more to bring back hostages held by Hamas in Gaza.
136 people, citizens that are there. Hopefully that they will all come back home, not just 35 or 40. They need all to come back home.
Still ahead, Ukraine says it destroyed a Russian warship. Protesting farmers meet EU leaders to discuss solutions. And President Xi Jinping visits Tianjin ahead of Chinese New Year. Welcome back. Police arrested 2 staff members of Television Broadcast Limited for alleged access to a computer with criminal or dishonest intent today. TVB confirmed the 2 are the company's executives and are among its 3 employees who have been dismissed. Police made the arrest at TVB City in Cheung Kwan O around noon today. A 59-year-old man was taken away. Items including a computer were seized. A 56-year-old woman was also arrested. Investigators received information the pair were trying to obtain documents dishonestly. They allegedly conspired, aided, or abetted external individuals in attempts to sabotage the company. TVB terminated the contract of a 3rd person who was involved in related illegal activities. The company says they will continue to assist the police investigation. The chairman of the Bar Association said the government can consider including a public interest defense to the theft of state secret offense under the proposed legislation of Article 23 of the Basic Law.
In some countries, when dealing with state secrets or information security, there are indeed such defenses. So it is something that we should definitely consider. And but if we're to do this, I think the threshold will have to be stated very clearly. We should really consider whether the defense should also be made available to everyone.
Victor Dawes, who is a senior counsel, stressed that the threshold for the offense cannot be set too low. Ukraine has received a major boost in its war against Russia by securing funding with all 27 EU countries, agreeing to a €50 billion support package to aid Ukraine's war with Russia. And Kyiv has claimed to have sunk a Russian warship. David Garrett reports.
Ukraine intelligence released footage of what they say are sea drones attacking, blowing up and sinking a Russian warship. It appears to be a corvette Ivanovets and was on patrol in Lake Donzalev, a bay which connects to the Black Sea. Ukrainian officials say 6 drones, each with 300 kilograms of explosives, were used. On the front line in East Ukraine, battles continue. This artillery unit is using a howitzer to fire on Russian positions. These Ukrainian troops say they are trying to push back a Russian advance, but they need more ammunition to mount a counterattack. They should get their wish. At a meeting in Brussels, all 27 EU countries agreed to give Ukraine 50 billion euros. Much of the money will go on new weaponry. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban had been a critic of the deal but backed down in his opposition. It is unclear if Hungary gained concessions from EU partners in other matters in exchange for withdrawing their objections. Leaders shook hands on a deal which means Ukraine will get a boost to their war-ravaged economy.
This debate today was extremely useful to make very clear that we are determined to make more efforts and to make sure that Ukraine will get the military equipment they need to defend their country.
It is also really important that this decision was taken unanimously by all of you, all 27 member states, and it is yet another clear sign of your strong unity and support of Ukraine.
The President of the European Parliament welcomed the news, as did Washington, where a funding plan for Ukraine is being held up by Congress.
Ukraine is our priority, and that is why we needed this agreement today by all 27 member states and from within the EU budget. This will give the credibility, the legitimacy and the predictability that is expected from us, because Ukraine's security is Europe's security.
It is not just the United States that is supporting Ukraine. It is a broad coalition of allies and partners in Europe and around the world who are doing so. And in fact, when you look at the financial contribution that has been made to support Ukraine, the European nations have contributed more.
Meanwhile, Russian President Vladimir Putin chaired a meeting earlier this week where he talked about the importance of investing in Russian-held areas of Ukraine. It comes as Russian investigators released footage of their search for clues after a plane crashed last month, killing more than 60 Ukrainian prisoners of war. They say they have evidence the transport plane was shot down with a US-made Patriot air defense system. Russia says it was fired by Ukraine from a village in the Kharkiv region. They showed images of some of the 116 fragments of 2 missiles they said were found in the snow near to where the aircraft went down in Belgorod. David Garrett, TVB News.
European Union leaders have outlined plans to address the concerns of protesting farmers following a summit in Brussels on Thursday. This comes following weeks of demonstrations by farmers against high prices, EU bureaucracy and foreign imports. Daniel Rao tells us more.
Farmers burned bales of hay and threw eggs and firecrackers at police as their protest continued in Brussels. But they also secured some promise of relief from European leaders on Thursday. For weeks, farmers have complained that it's becoming harder than ever to make a decent living as energy and fertilizer costs surge. And because of Russia's war in Ukraine, more and cheaper farm imports are entering the bloc. Eager to end disruptions in several cities ahead of European Parliament elections in June, leaders at a European Union summit in the Belgian capital showered the farmers with compliments and compassion, if few concrete proposals. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, Belgian Prime Minister Alexander De Croo and Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte met with farmers' representatives. Von der Leyen promised to prepare new plans to reduce the bureaucratic rules by the end of the month. Many leaders also said they would not approve a trade deal with South American nations that is under consideration unless any imports would meet the same regulatory standards that EU farmers face, a key demand from the sector. Following the talks, the European Commission President stressed the need for the two sides to continue to work together.
We had a very constructive, a very good meeting. We listened to the main complaints and worries and concerns of the farmers. It's very important that we find common solutions.
In France, the government did make concrete concessions. Prime Minister Gabriel Attal announced a new set of measures, including hundreds of millions of euros in aid and tax breaks. He also promised not to ban pesticides in France that are allowed elsewhere in Europe. In response, France's two major farmers' unions announced they would lift countrywide blockades. But some activists said they would stay put at least another day to see the government commitments in writing. Daniel, TV News.
The U.S. has approved a nearly $4 billion sale of drones and military equipment to India. The approval comes at a time when Washington is courting New Delhi to increase its cooperation with the U.S. Indo-Pacific strategy, which is largely focused on countering China's influence in the region. The U.S. State Department notified Congress of the $3.99 billion sale that will include 31 Sky Guardian drones, 170 Hellfire missiles, 310 small-diameter bombs, and related support material. With the Chinese New Year just about a week away, President Xi Jinping visited the northern city of Tianjin. Xi went to a village in Xiqin district on Thursday morning to learn about the recovery of farming activities after last year's floods. He also visited residents earlier impacted by the floods. In the afternoon, Xi dropped by an ancient cultural street in the downtown of Tianjin to get to know the market ahead of the Spring Festival. He also inspected historical and cultural streets in the district. And that's the news. Thank you for watching.